Welcome everyone to the next episode of Breath of Life Conversations. I have a guest host today. So we're gonna see how this goes because we don't know what we're talking about. So we're just gonna wing it and we're just gonna see where it goes. Um, how are you doing today, Jesse?
I'm doing well. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. It was a busy day today, and also like a day where Jeremiah was like, I need to be in constant contact with you every second of every day. And I, at this point, am pretty much like, I need you to stop touching me. So, I mean, you have girls,
Yeah,
so like,
they're gentle.
I don't know if you ever experienced a small child constantly needing to be in constant contact with you, but that is such a thing for boys.
Yes.
And my mom validated that for me today when she was like, yeah, no, I had three boys. And she's like, they just want you to be staring at them while they stare at something,
Yes.
and they just need to be touching
They
you.
don't grow out of it either.
No, it's
Jason is still like that. He's like 45. I don't know how old he is, but yeah, he's still his favorite. Like he just thrives if I'm watching him play a video game,
And just
which
to
is
be
just
clear,
awful.
Jason is her boyfriend,
Yes.
her very committed long-term partner, and a man. Like not
Yeah, not a boy.
I at least can say this is a 2-year-old.
No, they really don't. They don't grow out of it.
And I am just very happy to be here away from that him.
I love
I'm
it.
so
Well, welcome to the sanctuary.
right, yes, the sanctuary that is my best friend's store. Because I was like, where are we going to do this? Can we do this at your house? She's like, no, we're going to do this at the store because
I have little yappy dogs.
her dog, which I'm sure everybody would have been very excited to
To see
see and
him.
hear about. But anyway, what are we going to talk about today?
So I think we planned on talking about how nothing is real.
Nothing is real. I'm down. Where are we going to go with this?
There's so many avenues. I think that before we kind of talked about money, how money is not real.
There's a
We
lot of
kind of
people
talked
right now
about
saying fuck money, except for everybody says that and then everybody uses it. So
yes.
I'm kind of like on the fence about that of like, I love the fact that like acting out of service is like such a thing, except for people really today, like, and I was actually talking to my mom about this today, where I was like, Mom, I'm gonna do the thing that nobody else is doing. I'm gonna act from service, even if I don't have any money. Because how often do you know people who are like, yep, I'm just acting out of service, but they're making like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. And so they have the comfort and stability of being able to say, like, money is not real. It's not a thing. Time is not a thing, except for you've got those things in spades.
Exactly.
In
Exactly.
spades. So who cares if you don't make money in the next 20 minutes while you teach something or offer something up to somebody? But here I am, not making
No.
millions of dollars.
And giving scholarships away and all this beautiful, oh my gosh. Yes, the
Just,
meditations and everything that you are just giving to the world are just amazing.
and I will say that like this is like such a thing. Some you guys, if anybody knows about my journey, when I started, I would give a lot of stuff for free as well. And eventually I got to a point where my mom was like, and my mom is not only my person, but she is, and my person is in like the one person I know that I can go to who will always tell me the truth, even and especially when it hurts. And
She does have a
she
way about her.
she is vicious. She is savage. And she basically got it up her butt. She was like, you need to stop giving stuff away. She's like, you are valuable. Like, this is you giving stuff away for free is literally you saying that you are not worth anything. And I was like, okay, all right, I will listen to you. I stopped giving stuff for free. And lately I've just been in this space where I was like, you know what? everybody is talking about how they're coming at this from service, and I don't see a single person truly acting out of service. And here I was like
Trying to be the
occasion,
example.
yeah, and I was giving stuff away. Like I was giving, and not just like little things, guys,
No.
like full on full courses, full like access to me,
Mhm.
high support, high proximity, and like I was doing it like quietly. Like nobody knew about it really
Mhm.
unless you were the one benefiting from it. And I just decided, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to make a whole like series. It's called the Elite Jumpstart series, where I literally do nothing but teach. I just teach and I throw as much as I can into it in like an hour and a half. And then I post it on my YouTube channel.
Mhm.
And it's the most ridiculous thing. It's like tens of thousands of dollars worth of like material that I've either cultivated through my knowledge in like school or that I've downloaded for my own personal like stuff, and that has helped hundreds of people at this point.
Mhm.
And I told my mom about it today, and she had just gotten done saying how people don't give out of service. She was like, people don't do that. People are always constantly thinking about the next dollar. They're chasing the next dollar. And then I told her that I was doing this and that like I was telling her about all of like the free stuff, right? The scholarships and all the things. And she immediately she was like, "Well, Abigail, that's just you taking the easy way out." And I was like, "What? No."
No. That's no.
I was like, "Mom, hold on. This is not the easy way out. This is simply me doing what you said businesses and corporations do not do, which is to give out of nothing but service with all of the belief and joy and gratitude that the universe is going
Take care
to
of you.
provide for me."
Yes.
And I said, and I'm going one step further because things are not real, right?
Mhm.
Because money and time and all that stuff not real.
Mhm.
I'm going to go and be just audacious as fuck. And I'm going to be like, so the universe is not just going to provide for me what I need. It's going to provide more than what I need. It is going to
Absolutely.
like ultimately fill my cup. And it's not going to matter that I've got like hours and hours and hours and tens of thousands of dollars worth
No.
of teaching and like practical knowledge for people just plastered all over the
But
internet.
what it does do is anybody watching that is going to want to talk to you.
That would be the hope, right?
No, I mean it's true. Like like I'm the luckiest person in the world because I just can talk to you. But every time I watch one of those videos, I have turned so many people on to watching them or listening to the meditations, and I'm like, and follow her here and do this. And everyone's like really interested after they just get a snippet. They're like, I want more of that.
I love that.
So it's
Yes.
working.
We're disrupting the
Yes,
paradigm one soul at a time.
exactly. Exactly. No, it's good. And it's good. And people do appreciate when they learn something.
Yes. Yeah. When they feel like they can go and get something that is real and tangible, because, like you were saying, there are so many elements to our world that is not real.
Mhm.
When we sit and we think about things like our ego and our reality, and it going even to like saying our reality isn't real,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly. So,
So,
no, that's always fascinating to me is that it's like, let's see if I can think of one. You're shopping for a new car. You'd never noticed that color car before, but as soon as you're shopping for one, that's all you will see. And so that happens with every single thing in our existence. So that means that that's why when something happens and they ask for, okay, what happened? Every person there tells a different story because literally it didn't happen the same way for any of them.
do you think that there would ever be a time when we'll be able to like say for sure, like, no, this is real, like this is thing is real? And we talk about like objective truth and
I
everything,
mean,
but
it gets close when something big happens. Like when 9/11 happened, everybody at least remembered exactly what they were doing at that point.
mm,
And that kind of solidified something. And, collapse that for everyone, and everyone was like, "Oh yeah, that was a thing that happened." But we weren't all there,
Right.
but we just know that happened, and we
Yeah.
all that's probably the closest it gets when everyone is on the same page like that.
Do you think it like would work with things that are good? Because obviously, like we can all picture something that was like really traumatic and
Mhm.
really terrible, like 9/11. Where we're all like, this is where I was at that exact moment, and we were all collectively in that moment.
Exactly.
But what about like good things?
Oh, unfortunately, that's so much harder.
Do you think that's because people tend to celebrate like goodness very individually, where we tend to celebrate, or not celebrate, celebrate's the wrong word, but experience trauma collectively?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess if like something just ridiculously awesome happened that was on the same level as traumatic as the other thing was.
Like world peace.
Just suddenly, just right now, world peace is now. And then everyone stops everything. But would you notice right away? Because most of us live in little bubbles that don't have a lot of trauma in them. Like
Yeah.
we're not walking down the street like seeing violence every day. So how would we know when that specific, thing
Yeah.
happened?
That's a good point, actually. And like what equates to like world peace as a concept also not
Mhm.
real because everybody has a different version of what world peace looks like, right? I
Absolutely.
think there would be a lot of individuals who would say, well, like world peace means like no wars.
Hmm.
But there are a lot of countries that have never seen war before. So like technically everybody in Switzerland
Is already in world peace.
should be like, I'm in world peace right now. Yeah. But then, like we even think about like our own country and like right now, there's a whole like group of people in what is it, Arkansas, that's trying to create like a whites only community. Like, what would world peace look like to them? That everybody is separated out into like the color of their skin and the faith that they have, and that everything stays separate, like that would be world peace to them. Maybe. I don't even know.
Maybe.
I can't even,
Or
I
at
don't know
least
them.
idealistic, But I mean, I would assume it would be to stop fighting and stop having all the feelings that create the fighting. But we are human, and that is part of the fun, right?
Yeah, yeah, if we want to
So,
call it fun. I have a friend who's all like, I don't understand why we have to go through trauma. And part of me is like, well, the trauma even isn't real.
no,
Like we
it's how you're
basically,
reacting to that. If you
yes,
were taught as a child that a 2-year-old marries an 80-year-old, like in India,
yeah.
it's not traumatic when your husband is 80 and dies when you're 3, because that's just how life worked.
Is that a thing? Is that
It was
actually a thing in
I
India?
don't know if it still is, but it used to be not too long ago.
Really?
And then the widows all live in one place. And so like she just never gets like any more life of like outside of that. I don't know. There was a movie. I'd seen a
Really?
movie like that.
Y'all, we're gonna have to look this up. We're all gonna be like going and Googling. Googling is gonna be like, why is all of a sudden 2-year-old plus 80-year-old like trending?
Right? Right?
Like, this is us learning our history, guys.
Well, I mean,
Global
even
history.
like 100 years ago, there was, statutory rape wasn't a thing. Your
That's
your
true.
15-year-old to get married off to
To
the
a
farmer with the
30 or
most cows
40.
or whatever it was.
Yes, actually, yeah, you're
And
right.
so
Yeah.
it's all perspective. It's all just shift change. So,
Yeah.
now we're really offended by this, this, and this, and this
Yeah.
because these are bad things. But if you look in history, there was some point that those weren't bad things.
Yeah.
And then we weren't taught they were bad things, so the feelings probably didn't come up with them.
Right. Yeah. Yes. Everybody here is listening, going like, "Oh my God, what are we saying?" That's like we
I
are
mean,
not condoning
no,
marriage to a child. Okay,
no,
guys.
not at all. Not at all. I am still
But
very offended by it personally. I would not condone it at all.
you bring up a good point though, that like with the change of times, the things that we find offensive or the things that we once deemed appropriate
Mhm.
that we no longer deem appropriate just makes those things, once again, it brings up that question of like what is real, what is not real,
Exactly.
what is truth, what is false. And I know I can already like hear some people being like, you know what, marriage to a child was always wrong, right? But just so like the idea of just because it was allowed does not make it right. And
Hmm.
I completely 100% agree. I 100% understand that, but I also know that like if you're actually in that time period, if you're actually going through the things that were going on at that time, and we tend to not look at all the extraneousness
Hmm.
that happens in a particular time period, it was only thought of as okay because you weren't going to live past 30. If
Right.
you were lucky, you'd live past 37.
Yeah.
But there was either disease, war, travel. Travel would kill you
Absolutely.
faster than anything else because of either dysentery or
Hmm.
tuberculosis or whatever. Like there was a whole bunch of diseases that we did not know how to fight back then. And you needed, if you wanted the human race to continue,
Yes.
which obviously everybody did,
You
you know,
start young.
you needed to have, if you were a girl, you needed to have children quickly
Hmm.
because you were probably not going to survive childbirth. And if you were lucky enough to survive childbirth, you probably weren't going to survive into your 40s or 50s.
Hmm.
And if you did, it was probably because you had some level of luxury, money, status, whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, it's not that it was right. It's not that it should like be a thing now because obviously
No.
we've got modern medicine.
Yes. Times have changed for sure.
Yeah. But like you said, I mean, then what is real? What is right? What is truth? I
Exactly.
mean,
I mean, even murder, it's okay if you're a soldier.
right. People would say, well, that's not classified as murder because of the of the situation in which you're put in. But there are other people out there, pacifists, who would say murder is murder. Like
And you take a
if you
life.
take a life, then you've murdered somebody. And
Exactly.
like and I think that there are also those people who would go radically and be like, even if it's an accident, like
Yes.
even if let's say you thought you were shooting a deer and you know what I mean, like or just thought that you were shooting into like the forest, like there wasn't anything that you were quote unquote aiming at, but if you hit it, then it wouldn't be considered just an accident. Yes, it would be an accident, but it would also be murder. And
Hmm.
I think that that's a really interesting thing, is like the nuance and the complexity of it. And when you,
Yeah.
I think,
There's a lot of gray.
yes, and that brings me to my next question for you of like, at what point is this question of like what is real, what is right, what is truthful? When does it become spiritual bypassing? I think we
Ooh,
hear about that a lot, and where people will be like, well, because nothing is real, then like it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter what I say, it doesn't like, but
right.
where does spiritual bypassing come in with this?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I know, I mean, personally, I have strong morals and, I can barely like, be mean to someone and not feel bad about it. Like,
She really can't,
I,
guys.
I,
She can barely
did I
crush a
offend
spider.
someone? Oh no. So that's a hard question for me because I wouldn't go there with it.
Yeah,
Like, yes, just because, I mean, you can use any excuse to do anything you want to do.
yeah,
And there's always a justification, and there's always, you can, circle around and find something that'll stick to the wall.
fair. Yeah.
So,
So
I
do you
mean,
think that there is a thing such as spiritual bypassing? Like, do you feel like that's even an appropriate term to have?
well, um, if there is and if you do it, you karmically will have to deal with it later anyways. So it's not like you're getting out of anything. So you're not really bypassing, you're just postponing or making worse.
Okay, fair, fair. So what is your take on it? I feel like you kind of spiritually bypassed the question. Like, does it exist? Does it
Well,
not?
and I guess in your little bubble, does it exist? Is that a real thing
Mhm.
for you? And that's exactly what we're talking about.
That's
So
fair.
maybe it doesn't.
That's fair.
It just
Yeah.
depends on who you are
Yeah.
and what you're experiencing.
In your work,
Hmm.
you see a lot of individuals who have stuff quote unquote wrong with them, obviously, like There is nothing wrong with
Yes.
any of you,
No.
all in your own time, like all the things. And I don't mean to say that in a way that minimizes it. There are certain things that when I say it like that, I 100% mean to trivialize it, because there are some things that everybody has said for since like the dawn of time. And I just feel like at this point, if we can't trivialize some things without minimizing them, I think we're missing the point. But so anyway, you work with people who you see have things going on, opportunities for correction. Let's
There you go.
put it like that.
Yes.
And you also have individuals who like come back to you a lot, right? And will come back with the same thing. If you're saying you don't want to label somebody with spiritual bypassing because it becomes does it exist in your realm? How is it that you qualify that as a practitioner?
So those individuals usually get a lot more teaching and a lot more um, homework. So I like to put it on them to do the healing. And yes, I will do the healing when they come in. But I will be like, okay, so what is this issue that and I will point out that it keeps coming up and that they keep putting it back in their energy. And I will make them aware of it. And then, is there a reason? Like, what benefit is this giving you to have?
Mm,
So, like, children figure out at a young age, if they are sick, they don't have to go to school.
mm,
And that doesn't go away. Like that lesson that if I'm ill, I'm getting out of things I don't want to do. And people will hold that and become ill so that they don't have to work, so that they don't have to do whatever obligation they don't want to do. And so if somebody is coming back and complaining of the same thing all the time, I'm like, what is the benefit of that thing for you in your life right now? And why are you holding on to it? And then they have to decide if that's something they want to let go of or not. And it's okay either way. Nobody's broken, but you know,
yeah. So not bypassing, just stuck energy or an unidentified distortion
hmm hmm
or narrative that they're telling.
narrative. It's usually a narrative.
That they're telling.
Absolutely. Way more often it's a narrative.
Yeah. Which of course then like once again like brings us back to that whole like, and even narratives aren't real, right? Like,
And they can be altered.
yes, heavily. They can be heavily altered. I mean, that's a whole field of neuroscience right there, telling you you can change your personality, you can change your understanding of your experience. Like if you link a story with a strong enough emotion, you can absolutely trick your brain into believing that you experienced that.
Oh, 100%. Yes.
So with that, do you think in some ways that like science is almost a hindrance to the spiritual community, because the spiritual is so much about belief and faith, and therefore the whole like believing not seeing, whereas science is so much about like we need to make the unknown known, and if things aren't real, I think that like we quantified time because time being that it doesn't, quote unquote, we can say it doesn't exist. Well, time went from not existing to existing the minute we made clocks, and the minute that we said every day has 24 hours, every hour is 60 minutes, every minute is 60 seconds. As soon as we were able to quantify time, we made that be real.
hmm Well, it would be very hard to meet up with a friend if you didn't have time.
I mean, maybe if we could just say, well, like, when the sun is up.
Like, that could be a long time.
It could be.
If you're in Alaska and it's during the day.
I mean, yeah, but I think that that's like I was actually thinking about this of like, because this was another conversation me and my mom were having of like the youth of today would not be able to function if they didn't have their phones and they didn't have technology, and I was like, that's because society has literally created a space where you can't function without it. I said
100%.
I like looked at my mom. My mom is like a late Gen Xer, so like very atypical. I would say most millennials like myself have boomers for parents, but my mom was had children very early. Not like teenage early, but like um but I said you and I are literally the last generation of individuals who understand what it was like without a phone.
Yeah.
And millennials, like myself, I was an early millennial. So early, I was the first millennial that existed. So I really truly feel more attached to Gen Xers than I
Hmm.
do millennials.
Me too.
And um and so I was like I know I could exist without a phone.
Mm, I do sometimes.
Like
I forget my phone once in a while, and
forget my
you know
phone.
what? It life still happens. It's
Yes.
totally okay.
There's never anything that comes through my phone where I'm like, I need help right now,
Hmm.
where I need to be the first one on the scene.
No. Yeah.
Um, and so everything, that I experience is like held after the fact.
Hmm.
That was something that happened all the time
Oh yeah.
before,
I remember I was late getting a cell phone too.
mm,
Like I didn't go out and get one. I still had one of those old phones that you plug on the wall,
mm,
and I wouldn't answer that all the time either.
yes. And so it's like if you go by 1992,
Hmm.
okay, if you're a millennial that was born 1992 to 1996, which is the end of millennials, you probably do not know. There is a good
Yeah.
chance that you don't know what it's like to live without technology in
100%.
some way, shape, or
Hmm.
form. I'm sure that there are some 1992ers out there who are like, no, my parents were late to the game, but I would say more often than not, now that's
I
where
mean,
we
and
sit.
homework is on tablets.
Right.
So even if their parents didn't have something, they still were indoctrinated into it. So
Right. So at this point, it's one of those of like how much do you want these things? How much do you want truth and quantification
mhm,
to sit in your everyday life?
right.
Truly like becomes the next thing of like science is going to keep advancing all the time.
Hmm.
Like that's never going to stop. For as much as I want scientists to ask the question, just because we can, should we more
Mm-mm.
often? They are not, and they will
No,
never. They
there's
will
dire
never.
wolves now.
They're what?
They brought back dire wolves.
Are you
Hmm.
serious? From extinction.
Yes.
Wow.
They won't tell anyone where they are,
What
but it's a
makes
very
sense?
Jurassic World kind of
Yeah.
practice. But yeah, but apparently there's some live dire wolves right now.
Wow.
Yeah, they used current wolf DNA
Of course.
and mix it just like in the movie.
Wow.
So they've done it. Yep.
See, I'm so frustrated. So frustrated for as much of a science girly as I am. I am so frustrated because how often do we like? Okay, so just because we're on this topic of Jurassic World, I literally like I had one piece of other work to do today on the day of this recording. And I went, and before that happened, I was literally sitting on my couch watching Jurassic World
Oh,
Rebirth
funny.
with my brother and Jeremiah. And like just I sat there and was like, the fact that like in the movies, right, something like 23 plus years of dinosaurs existing, and like people continue to put themselves in situations where they're interacting with these creatures,
Yeah.
and it just makes you wonder about like the superiority of the human race. Like we're not guys, we are dumb. Like apparently the most like genius species on the planet to date, and we will probably never see a million years on this planet
No.
the same way that almost every other species has been able to see. I mean, and when we really like break it down, like 99%, 99.9% of all species that have ever existed have gone extinct.
Hmm.
We're just one.
I know. Well, that's as long as we're on
I know
movies
this is such a
and
this is
stuff.
such a digression. This is such a digression.
But today's humans are very dumb. and getting dumber. Um, have you seen the movie Idiocracy?
No,
It's amazing how many of those things have come true already.
really.
Yeah, it's scary. It's terrifying. But
Next
that's the
on my
thing.
to watch
The thing
list.
that I can't watch Ancient Aliens
Hmm.
because they are always saying, well, humans couldn't have done that. I'm like, well, maybe our ancestors were just a hell of a lot smarter than we are. And
Yeah,
they were tapped in more and they were figuring stuff out. And I'm like, maybe they were. And we just lost
yeah,
a lot of that. And just because we currently don't have this technology, it doesn't mean they didn't. And that drives me crazy every time they say, oh, it must have been aliens. I'm like, maybe they were just really smart.
yeah. And maybe it was aliens.
And maybe it was
What
aliens.
what do we know about
We should
true?
know. Or it's all made up anyways.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's such a good point. It truly is. It's such a good point of, where do we find ourselves and
Mhm.
how do we want to be perceived, and what do we want to what do we want to make manifest in our space? 'Cause I think there's just so many different elements and layers, and like you were saying, there's so much gray, there's so much nuance
Mhm.
that at this point, I think at least how where I've come to, I don't know, you'll have to say if this is the same for you, but like I've pretty much come down to like I just have to learn to accept everybody's reality for what
Yeah.
it is. Like I just have to learn to get less triggered. I have to
Mhm.
learn to get less, I don't know if it less radical is necessarily the right term, but
I would
like
say judgmental.
yeah, yeah, for sure that. Like, I just need to like stop letting things and people's like thoughts affect and influence, because there are people I watched a reel on Instagram where this woman was asked what now this woman is young. She's in her mid 20s right now, and just to provide some context so you understand where this is like coming from for her. But she is a multimillionaire.
Ooh, nice.
And right? Like so great for her. I'm so happy for her. Um but one of the things she was asked, what is like the bare minimum? Like, what how should somebody feel when they look at the bare minimum? And her response was they should be disgusted by the bare minimum. She was like, if you she literally said this. She said, if you don't make or like earn essentially $1 million, that should trigger to you that you do not love yourself enough. And I was like, radical, radical. I was like, wow, like to be in such a position. And once again, I feel like this is very much about like her position. This is a
Yeah.
person who literally went from nothing to like to making multi-millions of dollars in the span of just a few short years. I would challenge that a little
I
bit, but
totally
at the same
challenge that.
time, I'm trying not to judge here. I'm trying not to make this be like I'm trying not to be triggered.
Well, I'm not triggered by it at all. For her, that might be true, but there are so many people who don't aspire to being millionaires. There are so many people, and you run into them. They are completely content living their lives the way they are living it. And
Yeah,
they, you know, obviously there's some of us who aspire to do everything always
yeah,
and it just, keep going. There's a lot of people who don't.
yeah.
And they're just content. They're content with what they're
Mhm.
doing. And that's supposed to be that way. We don't all want to be firemen and we don't all want to be, we're
Yeah,
all supposed to have different experiences.
yeah.
And so, you know, I knew a guy who lived in his car for a year because he read a book about how to live in your car for a year and then
Oh,
just did it. And he was completely happy. And then he was done with that part. And then he did something else.
so interesting. I could not.
And yeah. And there's other people who are completely nomadic and don't really do the
Mhm.
money thing. And they're
Because
they're
they
happy.
believe that money is not a thing.
And for them, it really isn't.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so my challenge to her is you can't blanket anything.
yeah. I mean,
And those people don't love themselves less. they're happy
Yeah.
with what they're doing.
Yeah,
And of course, there's obviously discontented people in that situation as well.
of course.
But,
Yeah.
you know, and if it's, of course, if it's due to drugs or something, they're having a whole different experience. And who
Right.
knows what they're living right now.
Absolutely.
Maybe it's fantastic. We
Yes.
don't know, and we never will.
Yes. Well, guys, I hope that this was entertaining for you. Truly, like we did not expect this at all. But I feel like lately I have been saying this. Every time I have a guest, I feel like I've said this. I'm like, I didn't expect that to go that way at all. But we're here for your entertainment and enjoyment and to push you and to feeling something, anything, whether it be joy or anger or irritation. I'm here for it
Yeah.
all, guys. I truly am. I'm here for it all. Um, Jessie is on all the things. She's on all the socials.
Mhm.
I will put her link information down below. If you are local to us and you're here in Minnesota, I will also put the link to her website, which will quickly be, it'll still be the same web address, but you're
Yes.
going to notice a change. You're going to notice a change in how it looks. It's being
Yes.
revamped. So,
Yes, it is.
but she's got all the things. She's got really beautiful crystals and really beautiful, just all around intuitive tools from of all the things in the space. And it's also just a really beautiful space for practitioners like myself to come and work and provide our services and to help you heal. So go ahead and check out that down in the show notes below. And we will see you next time on the next Breath of Life Conversations. Bye,
Yeah.
y'all.